I went into labor on my sister-in-law's wedding day, but my mother-in-law locked me in a bathroom to keep me from stealing attention. A few hours later, I awoke in the hospital, and my mother-in-law begged me not to file charges. But, oh boy, her face became pale when my spouse said this. My husband, Rick, 30, and I, 29, were blessed with a daughter 2 weeks ago. This is our first child, and we're understandably thrilled. We've been quite busy, and we're still adjusting to being parents. It's a difficult change for both of us, but we're doing our best. We don't have much support because of what happened on the day our daughter May was born. It was one of the most horrible experiences I've ever had, and I doubt I'll ever forget it. Even the joy of May's arrival is insufficient to help me overcome the paralyzing terror I felt that day. I believe I would have died if not for my husband's immediate assistance. Despite the sad tragedy, I believe that because it involves family, we should be a little kinder to them because May is the first kid in the family. But I'm unsure, and my judgment is muddled by all these hormones and infant obligations, which is why I've turned to Reddit for assistance. Please bear with me while I tell this lengthy and multi-character story. Rick has 2 younger sisters, Anna and Emily. Anna is 28, while Emily is 24. I have a pretty excellent relationship with both of them, and I don't believe there's any hostility between us. We aren't close because we're all busy with our careers and don't get together very often. Emily doesn't even reside in the same city as us, but we try to catch up and stay in touch through messages or phone conversations. Rachel, Rick's 53-year-old mother-in-law, is another significant figure in Rick's family in this story. While I get along well with Anna and Emily, Rachel is a completely different story. We don't always agree, and I believe she has issues with everyone, not just me. She's the biggest control freak you can imagine, and she won't stop. She wants things to proceed according to her wishes and desires. Her 3 children often accept her requests because she reared them after their father abandoned them. So they strive to make things simpler for both her and themselves. Furthermore, if someone dares to demand anything other than what she wants, she reacts, which can range from disapproval and moping to a full-fledged meltdown complete with tears and tantrums. Dealing with her is challenging, so I try to avoid her whenever possible. Rick gets this. He understands that his mother is troublesome, so he lets me keep my distance and deal with her as I see fit. On my end, I understand his feelings for her despite her domineering nature, so I let it go. She doesn't like me, therefore she doesn't interfere with my life, which works well for all of us. However, things spiraled out of control a few days ago, owing entirely to her actions. Now, I don't believe anyone will ever forgive her. Anna was getting married on May's birth date. It was a gorgeous ceremony, and her husband Jonah, 30, is Rick's acquaintance. He proposed to her about a year ago, and Anna asked me to be her bridesmaid. I had accepted. However, when Rick and I discovered I was pregnant, I had to suggest that she ask someone else because I knew I wouldn't be able to handle it. This was about 6 months after the proposal, therefore only 6 months till the wedding. I was 3 months pregnant by then. I expected repercussions from her for backing out midway, but I knew I needed to prioritize. I was very worried and jittery before telling her. I believed our connection would be strained indefinitely. However, to my relief and astonishment, none of it occurred. Anna was pleased when I informed her. She had forgotten about her wedding for a long time. When I told her I wouldn't be available for duty, she said, "Obviously, I'll be taking care of you." She even pondered rescheduling the wedding since she didn't want me to miss it, as I would have if May had been born then. That didn't happen for a variety of reasons, and she probably shouldn't have done it in the first place. It was a close call in the end, but she remained supportive throughout. Emily became the maid of honor, and I knew the 2 sisters were preoccupied with wedding preparations, so I didn't trouble them much during the pregnancy, which was traumatic for me. Nonetheless, they kept in touch as often as possible and came over to encourage me greatly. I feel a little guilty for not supporting Anna on the most important day of her life, despite the fact that she supported me the entire time. My mother-in-law was the only one who was upset about the situation. I believe Mom was angry that I couldn't be the maid of honor anymore, which caused some disturbance in the wedding preparations. That seemed like the only reasonable explanation, and I understood where she was coming from. However, the antagonism, for lack of a better phrase, persisted even after Anna accepted the pregnancy and my absence as maid of honor. The bride was not upset in the least, but Rachel began antagonizing me from that moment forward. It was strange, but I assumed I was on edge because of the hormones, and she was on edge because of the wedding. I assumed that all of this was simply building false narratives in my head. I ignored her as much as I could, and things were largely all right. During the wedding, things became out of hand, both physically and figuratively. I was completely pregnant, my feet were swollen, my abdomen was massive, and I felt like I was about to pass out. I still wanted to go to the wedding because Anna wanted me there. I had asked her previously whether she wanted me there because I wanted it to be her special day. I informed her that the presence of a heavily pregnant woman might draw attention away from her, something I didn't want. Weddings are for the bride and groom, and I would hate to be the one to take away from that. When I told Anna this, she was outraged and upset. She stated she couldn't believe I'd be preoccupied with such trivial matters and miss her wedding. She said she didn't care about the attention or the limelight. All she wanted was her family to be there for her on her wedding day. She told me I needed to come and not worry about the drama. I knew she meant it. She's not one to mince words. If she didn't want me there, she would have said so right away. But she did, and she stated it emphatically. I felt it was my obligation to be there for her. Despite my physical discomfort, I felt I needed to be present for her on her wedding day. I'm not going to lie, there were a lot of people whispering, but I tried to ignore them because I knew Anna was glad I was present. That was all that mattered to me at that moment. Rachel did not say much to me and glared at me the entire time. However, I was too uncomfortable to notice. I didn't have the energy to cope with her or understand her passive-aggressive conduct toward me, so I just let her be. She might glare all she wanted, I was not going to respond to her. Then came the big episode, which stunned and terrified everyone around me. I started feeling apprehensive just as the ceremony was about to commence. By then, I'd already met Anna. I got up and went upstairs, believing it would make me feel better and that I'd return when I did. Rachel had followed me without my knowledge. I went to the bathroom because I was sweating and feeling strange. Suddenly, my water burst. It was a literal flood, and I began to panic because, as much as I adore my daughter, she had picked the worst possible time to arrive. I couldn't think clearly. Thankfully, I noticed my mother-in-law in front of me. By then, I was crouching in agony. She raced to me, and I ordered her to take my phone and call Rick right away because we needed to hurry to the hospital. She helped me up and had me sit in the restroom. I gave her my cell phone. That is when she flipped. She claimed she'd make sure Rick arrived in an hour after the ceremony was complete since she didn't want me to take Anna's attention. I asked her if she was crazy and told her I couldn't take this for an hour. I tried to grab my phone from her, but she locked me inside and took it with her. So there I was, pregnant, with my child actually on the way, sitting on a toilet in a bathroom, without a phone or a spouse. I'm not sure how I didn't suffer a full-blown panic attack. Thank goodness I didn't, since I'm not sure what would have occurred otherwise. I stood up and slowly made my way to the door. I began beating on it. I yelled repeatedly. But no one heard me because the restrooms were on the first floor and everyone had already taken their seats for the ceremony. I screamed till my voice faded, but no one came. That was when I truly believed I was going to die, and take my baby with me. I was weary, wet, sweating profusely, and unable to speak. That was the last thing I remembered. I'm not sure what happened afterward. I passed out from tiredness. I can't recall how I got to the hospital. I know I did. A few hours later, I awoke in the hospital, sobbing with Rick by my side. It took me a few moments to figure out where I was and what was going on. When I noticed Rick crying, I expected the worst. Everything came flooding back, my mother-in-law locking me in the bathroom, my crying. And I believed May hadn't made it. When Rick saw I was awake, he breathed a sigh of relief and began crying in my arms. I had no idea what to make of it and felt a terrible feeling in my stomach. Then I saw the nurse enter with a baby girl, and I breathed a sigh of relief. I really wanted to hit Rick for messing with me like that. But he said he wasn't toying with me. He was just glad I was okay because I was unconscious when he found me in the restroom. I held my baby for the first time, and I don't think I'll ever forget the feeling. I don't think there is a better emotion in life. Nothing will ever compare to what I felt in those moments. Rick didn't offer me any specifics at the time, which I appreciate because I didn't have the energy to cope with it. I could hear a commotion outside and asked him what was going on. He stated his mother-in-law was outside and wanted to come in to see her grandchild. I described what had transpired in full. I told him what she had done, and how she had put our daughter in jeopardy for no reason. I also told him that I would never let her near my daughter. To me, she was dead. He said he knew everything. When he found me in that state, she broke down and told him everything. I told him that just because she broke down didn't mean I'd forgive her. He chuckled and stated his mother was dead to him from this moment forward, and he was going to file charges for endangering life. He stated that he would pursue legal action to ensure that she was punished for what she had done. When I heard him say that, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. I know he adores his mommy. All three of them do. After the trick she pulled that may have cost me and my daughter our lives, I was in no mood to forgive her. If Rick had chosen her over me, our marriage would have ended. There would be no turning back, and somewhere deep down, I expected him to choose his mother. Despite everything, Mom worked extremely hard to raise them. Maybe I didn't expect him to defend me the way he did, but I'm not complaining. If anything, it has increased my affection for him, if that's possible. I questioned him about the wedding, and he claimed it went well. Emily and Anna were waiting for him to call so they could come visit us. When I inquired if Anna was furious, he laughed and said I didn't have to worry about her at all. She had been smiling with pride and delight, saying that her entire family had attended the wedding and that May's birth was the nicest gift she could have gotten. I had tears in my eyes when he told me that, and I told him to call them right away. Anna, Emily, and Jonah arrived at the hospital shortly after I did. The best part, Anna and Jonah were still dressed for their wedding. Anna refused to pass up the opportunity to snap a wedding photo with her niece. I started crying uncontrollably. It was a truly heartwarming moment. After taking the image, I apologized to Anna for destroying her day. She hugged me and told me I was misinterpreting the situation. I had made her day. I told her about my mother-in-law's actions after we announced the pregnancy. Anna stated that the only thing I did wrong was not informing them sooner. Perhaps they could have put an end to her turmoil. I told her I didn't want to cause trouble, and Emily responded that any amount of difficulty was fine as long as I was safe. Even as I type this, I have tears in my eyes because I realize they love me like family. They saw me as more than Rick's wife. I was a family member. Anna is one of the best women I know. She is so safe and happy. It's no surprise she is where she is today. I don't see how Rachel is so different from her children. It's as if they saw her and concluded that was not who they wanted to be. It's odd, but I don't mind. It was beautiful. Apparently, my mother-in-law was still outside. Anna had informed her on her way in that she would ensure Rick and I filed charges. My mother-in-law wanted to come in and see May, but I didn't want her anywhere near me. Anna stated we needed to protect ourselves from her. She apologized to me, saying she hadn't adequately addressed her mother's overprotective impulses or made it obvious that she had no objections to my pregnancy. She stated that if she had, perhaps the situation could have been avoided. I told her she had made me feel safe, and there was no way she was to blame. Rick was outside the entire time, conversing with my mother-in-law. When I was discharged and returned home with May a few days later, Rick informed me what he and my mother-in-law had discussed. He claimed he had informed her that he would be filing charges and that she could deal with it because nothing would change that. He also warned her she was never welcome in May's life. She was not her grandmother, in any way. She opted to endanger my and my unborn child's lives over a perceived slight that didn't even bother her. He also stated that the money he had been giving her, my mother-in-law was living off of Rick and Emily's money, would be significantly decreased. She burst into tears, stating she had worked her entire life for her children and did not deserve this. Rick said that, while he recognized and appreciated everything Mom had done for them, she did not have control over their life. He said she was in the wrong and that he had been ignoring or making excuses for everything she did for years, but no more. When it came to May and me, she needed to realize she had crossed a significant line and demonstrated she was not safe to be around, especially because Anna had never had an issue. Rachel explained that, as a mother, she understood Anna's reluctance to have me in the spotlight. But Anna overheard and ripped into her. So, we will definitely proceed with the lawsuit. But Rick is managing it because I have a newborn to care for and cannot be bothered with the drama. Rick said he'd handle it. None of the siblings are willing to speak with her anymore. Anna has entirely cut her off, and Emily only speaks with her when necessary. Rick and I are clearly out of touch. I don't believe my mother-in-law anticipated this. Maybe she honestly wanted to protect Anna, no matter how twisted that seems. I am not defending her in the least. But I still feel awful for her since it all went so wrong. Now, part of me wonders whether they should discuss it with her because it feels wrong and horrible to me. I do not know, maybe I'm not thinking clearly. I know if I mention this to Rick, he'll go crazy. He is irritated with her and is unable to look at her right now. I had not anticipated this, yet here we are. Update 1. Well, any reconciliation is out of the question forever. I realize I haven't updated in a while, but, well, I'm a new mother. I've been busy keeping both myself and my child alive. The good news is that May turns 8 weeks old in a few days, and we're all very excited. Anna and Jonah have been a great help to Rick and me. Emily had to return to work but still calls practically daily. May is truly the light in everyone's eyes. They adore her, and the group chat is filled with her photos. There has been no communication with my mother-in-law. I persuaded Rick not to press charges since we had too much on our plates and it would serve no purpose. Rick was reluctant, but he consented because neither of us had the energy to do anything else. When we told my mother-in-law, she seemed grateful. I say appeared, because the woman is indeed insane, and she showed everyone her true colors shortly after. Rick and I awoke about 1 a.m., a loud banging on the door. I assumed it was a heist, so I fled and hid with May as Rick attempted to open the door. I could hear shouting, but I didn't dare go outside since I didn't want May to wake up. It was my mother-in-law, and Rick said she was being insane. She continued to scream that she wanted to see May and that we couldn't keep her away. Rick claimed he had to scare her with the cops before she backed down. She was trying to force her way inside. We quickly notified Anna and Emily because if anything was wrong with her, everyone wanted to know. We were concerned, but in the end, it was for nothing. The following day, she sent us a frightening text. She began by claiming that we were being mean and horrible to her by not allowing her to see May, and that we were punishing her for doing nothing but being a mother. There was more melodramatic gibberish in there, and her text became increasingly crazy. She stated that she had the responsibility of raising 3 children and had to always choose one child's needs above another. That's what she thought she had to do for May's birthday. She did not want May to ruin Anna's day. She conveniently forgot that May was a fetus, and that Anna herself had stated several times that she had no objections to the pregnancy and wedding taking place concurrently. I still comprehended this section. What she said next startled me. She expressed concern that having May in our lives would make her less valuable to her children. When I revealed my pregnancy, she assumed Anna would be upset since that is how a normal woman would react. But when she realized how enthusiastic we were about both the pregnancy and the wedding, she wasn't pleased. She was basically indicating that she didn't enjoy how happy we were together, with and for each other. She wanted us to be jealous and competitive. She stated that when she discovered the due date was close to the wedding, she hoped Anna would be upset with us and that May would not dominate everyone's attention. But it did not happen, and everyone was just talking about May. She said she felt disrespected that a baby who hadn't even been born had stolen her position as the siblings' unifying force. She continued to type while I requested Rick to block her. I told him she was insane and dangerous to me and all of us. I've got a continual headache since I saw those messages. I can't believe a woman over 50 is competing with a 7-week-old infant. It doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't need to. Because I'm done with her. I'm done making excuses for her actions and attempting to understand her intentions. I don't care if she ends up in hell. We forwarded the messages to Anna and Emily, who are also upset. They suspect she is experiencing a manic episode. Emily stated that she will travel down to have my mother-in-law checked at a facility. I think that's a terrific idea, but I'll remain out of it. This is insane behavior, and I no longer want anything to do with her. Update 2. We have a restraining order against my mother-in-law. She did not try anything else, but we are being cautious. Emily had her tested and met with both a psychologist and a psychiatrist. Everything is okay with my mother-in-law. She was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, but that was all. The doctor stated that there was no underlying medical basis for her behavior and advised Emily to seek therapy. Emily has since made no touch. She stated she would be eager to help if something was wrong, but my mother-in-law is cruel, and she can no longer stand her. I completely understand and share your point of view. If she had a psychological problem, she may have received my sympathies and help in a few months. But once that's ruled out, we know who she is. There is no way to reconcile it. This is why we sought a restraining order. May's safety is extremely important to Rick and me, and my mother-in-law has proven herself to be dangerous twice. Furthermore, she harbors animosity for May in particular, so we must take extra precautions to keep them apart. I believe this will be my final update, and I hope I never have anything further to say about the entire episode. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.